Welcome back, everyone, to History with Salty B, episode 4, the first one of 2026, and the first one post-Christmas 2025. So I've got a few things to show you. Only one of them I actually got as a Christmas gift, but I bought another one myself as a Christmas gift, and one of them I bought before the Christmas season. So I'm excited to show you all of those. What we'll be doing in this episode. Last episode, we looked at the Romanovs. That was a period in history that I find interesting. That was the Romanovs. This week, it is going to be the Accursed King series. Is kind of my reference to that part in European history. It is the end of the line of Capet and the start of the 100 Years' War in France. So to give you a year, that would be 1328, the start of the 100 Years' War. So the kind of couple decades before that, and then that period. That is the periods in history that I find interesting. Part 3, I guess. It was Julio-Claudian dynasty, Romanov dynasty, and now end of the Capetian dynasty. We will also be looking at a book that I read recently, about a month ago now, actually, beginning of December, called Metropolis. And let me get the author's name for you. Metropolis by Ben Wilson. And I really enjoyed it. And it might as well be called The History of Humanity Through 10 Cities or something like that. I got a history of the world through 10 empires. This might as well be history of the world through 10 cities. It basically just goes through each kind of period in human history and what city was doing something new, right? So I'm sure a few will already pop to mind, but I won't spoil any. But it's going to be a very city-focused episode. The first reason of which is this book that I got, thinking of this segment. So in accordance with Metropolis by Ben Wilson, we also have Cities and Civilizations by Folio. It's got this kind of like, it's whatever. I'd rather this was like, it's a nice picture of Florence, but it's kind of, I like how clean the rest of it is. There it is upside down if you were wondering what that looked like. And if we take it out, you can see, see, that's really nice. So tons of different cities there. New York, for sure. A couple from New York, I feel like, and then all the way down to ancient stuff. So it's like, this is like the progression of cities there. And in this book is really similar to Metropolis by Ben Wilson. And there's some Venice. And here we go. Here's the list. So, yeah, ancient cities, Athens, Rome, and then developing cities, Constantinople, Florence, Amsterdam, London. And it also has in the days of. So it's Rome in the days of Emperor Trajan, Florence in the days of the Medici, Amsterdam in the days of Rembrandt, so not just like the ruler, but sometimes just like an artist. St. Petersburg with Peter the Great, Venice with Casanova, Vienna with Franz Joseph, then the modern city, and it's got only 6 of those, but New Orleans, Tokyo, Berlin, Moscow, New York, and Sydney. So yeah, really cool. It's got pictures and stuff. Lots of pictures, big text, and just going through history with cities, and I think that's super cool. So this is basically a book version, or like kind of like a coffee table version, if you want to describe it like that, of Metropolis by Ben Wilson. So there you go, new one for the collection. Then for Christmas, so I did get Christmas gift. That one I bought myself though. For Christmas gifts, I only got one book, and it's The Travels of Marco Polo from my dad. It is not the one I was thinking of because I went to a bookstore and saw like a folio version of Marco Polo's travels, but it was not this much information. Like this is only volume 1. So that's another thing. I kind of wanted to have the complete thing. But yeah, volume 1, and I was looking through it, and it's a ton of information. The book doesn't even start until like, let me see if I can find it. It's like around here. but the book doesn't even start for a really long time. Yeah, here we go. So, Book of Marco Polo, prologue. Great princes, emperors and kings, dukes and marquises, courts, knights and burgesses, and people of all degrees. So this is how it starts, and I've seen it in a few different translations. My dad had a little copy that I read, and it was like slightly different, but that is the start. So all of this is just like other writing about it, or like other side information. Like the real thing doesn't even start until here, so it's not that long. But yeah, Travels of Marco Polo. But there was one book that I was really excited for, and that was, I have a book about the Habsburgs, but there was this really nice one, not even for that much. I think it was $75 at the bookstore, and it was that one and The Rise and Fall of the British Empire. This one. Those two I really wanted, and so I bought one of them, and I sent a picture of it to my dad as like a, this is what I want for Christmas, you know. And it was missing the next time I went to the bookstore, so I was really hoping I got it. And unfortunately, no, but someone else just bought it, you know, right after I sent it to my dad. I sent a picture of it. So I did not get that book. So I'm kind of, that sucks a little bit. I was looking online, and I could get one for like $70, but it's like, damn, it was 75 in the store. And if it was like 55, I might have bought it, but it would look so good with my other collection, like the British Empire one and the Churchill one. So yeah, didn't get that, but I got this, and I'm very happy with this because it's a good information. It's what I wanted. It's even more in depth than the one I was looking at in the bookstore, because that one was more akin to something like this. A little more like, there's way more writing in that one than this, but it's more of a coffee table style than just like pure, like, almost, it feels like an encyclopedia. So I went to the store today, and I was gonna buy myself a Christmas gift, because I was like, oh man, like I didn't get the Habsburgs book, and let me go buy my boys something nice, you know. And I went through all the sections I normally go through, the nice like old history books, or newer stuff that's just like, you know, printed really nicely in a hardcover. And I looked at everything that I normally look at. I picked it all up. I looked at like $30 or whatever. And they were doing a two. They frequently do this in this bookstore, where you buy 2 books, you get one free. So I was like, oh, do I buy 3 $30 books and then one is just completely free? Like, that'd be nice. I will still have the opportunity. They do that sale all the time. And so I did do that, but I still managed to get 3 books for the price of one. For $75, I got this set, a new set. This set, it's been there forever. I've seen it every time I go to the bookstore, and today I saw it, and I didn't even like pick it out and look through it. I was like, I know what it is. It is $75. It's a set by Christopher Hibbert, and it is very, very topic oriented. I didn't really mean that to happen. It's about cities. It is Italian cities, the Folio Society. And we've got, it's gonna be hard to see the Florence one though. There you go. Rome, Florence, and Venice. And as you can see, they are in an Italian flag. Funny story, back in September, when I first started going to the bookstore, I saw this set, and it was on the wall just as it was all the way into December, almost January, and it was on the wall like this. And I walked past it, and I was like, "Are you serious? Are you serious? Like, come on, guys!" Obviously, they got this set. You know, it's used. The green one especially is like a little faded, but it's used. $75. And some 20-year-old is taking them all out to look at them, to know, oh, do I give it a good, very good, in the condition category, right? Because that, if it was perfect condition, it'd be like probably $150, right? So, they're looking, oh, yeah, it's good condition. And they put it back, and they just fucking cram those boys in there. And I took one look at this and I'm like, bro, it's supposed to be the Italian flag, bro. Like, who did this? Literally, who did this? So I take it off the shelf. I make their product look more appealing. I take their product off the shelf and I readjust it. As so. And made it to the Italian flag. And that's how it'll stay. Thank you, bookstore. It's going to stay like this because that's what it's supposed to be. Italian flag. Rome is in red, Florence in white, Venice in green. First of all, compared it to, like, this was $75. So this means each of these books was $25. Most of the books are $30. Like, I was looking at this London Folio Society book, and it was like worse than one of these, and it was $30. So I saved money by getting this. As you can see, there's the cover. It's like, it feels really nice. You can see what type of material it is. So this is Rome. And it's got Romulus and Remus being fed by the she-wolf. And inside, like, there are tons of pictures and lots of text, obviously. But it's like, yeah, like, this is a fun book to read. It's not just solid text, right? Oh, I got Mussolini in here. So that's Rome. Then we got Florence with the Medici fleur-de-lis. And again, same texture. Like, these are really nice. This one's all about Florence. And then, last but not least, we got Venice with the Venice coat of arms there. You get the point. So, yeah, really, really happy with these because, yeah, it's not only one book that I got, but three. And for a cheaper price, and they're this beautiful set, and it has to do with fucking cities. There, thumbnail. Oh, but the Florence is too bright. So, yeah, I'm getting quite the collection, and I'm thinking about doing a full collection video. Because, yeah, like, we've got... Why do I keep doing that? We've got this one. We've got this one. Like, I'm just saying this one. So this is... I bought this one instead of the nice Habsburgs one, and it was, like, yellow. Like, it would have fit so well. And I'm looking at it online. It's Embodying Empire by Andrew Wheatcroft, I think. And I wish I'd bought it. I really did. Because I was hoping my mom or dad had got it for Christmas for me, and they didn't. And there's the Churchill. This is my pride and joy right there. These are my favorite ones. So these are just my really nice ones. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing like a little collection of things soon. I just started, this is kind of spoilers, I just started Edward Gibbon, The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. One of like the classics. And I really want to get like a book set of that one day. I am one volume in to the 6 volumes. So it's a big task. It's a big task. 6 huge volumes about it's like 1,500, 1,500 years of history, I think it is. Because it goes from the very end of the good emperors. So Marcus Aurelius, or like it starts in Marcus Aurelius's time and then goes all the way into the 1500s, like here. The fall of Byzantium. Okay, so with all that preamble out of the way, let's get into it. Metropolis. So I really like this book. I started reading it kind of just as like a break between bigger things, and it was a pretty small audiobook. It was what was it? Maybe 11 hours. I think that was with it on it might have been on like 1.3 speed or something, but I think I got through it pretty quick. It took me 2 days of work, just 2 days working, not even listening to it the whole time. And I took notes on it. I would pull it out at work in my notes app because I wanted to remember not only the cities that this book talks about, but kind of the main theme, because every chapter has a city and then it has a theme. So to start, the first city is Uruk. That's Uruk, Uruk, That was in the kind of Mesopotamia, Euphrates Valley area. And the thing about these types of settlements is as soon as the river changes direction, it's not a city anymore, right? So it did not last forever. But the word Uruk meant city or just like group of people. Like that is what the word meant. So that's just what people called it because it was the first of its kind. It was the first city. So its name just meant city, of course. The big things here were agriculture. Obviously, agriculture brought people together, and then social structure. Once agriculture had brought everybody together, one person owns the land where they make agriculture, and one person works it, and one person gets fed by it. That's a social structure. So that was also created in Uruk. The second city is Babylon. This is the first city, like the city of sin. Babylon still to this day has kind of like a city of sin. It's almost like a term for a city, New Babylon, like that kind of stuff. For cities like Las Vegas or New York. Because Babylon was filled with sex, it was like the first prostitution type of city. And then it became a biblical analogy, right? Like it was a city and cities are evil because Babylon is like the city of this time. So was it evil? No, it's kind of just a group of people. Is this people? Once people are closer together, it is easy for people to cheat if everyone's closer together. It is easy for people to hide bad stuff they're doing if everyone's closer together, right? Like bad things manifest in cities because of the nature that a city is. Next was Athens and Alexandria. Some chapters would do two cities because they were both really important in that time period. And it's like, yeah, Athens, Alexandria, pretty close globally. So they had similar things going on. And the things that they had going on was information. Athens and Alexandria were both important in other periods. Athens gets mentioned for sure in the Babylon chapter. But here, what it was new at, like the new thing it brought to the table with Alexandria is information, libraries, and just spreading information around and people learning, like people actually learning to read and stuff for the first time. Not, widely, but like, I mean, the literacy rates were way lower in the medieval times, right, than these times in Athens and Alexandria. Next was Rome. Rome was for cleanliness, or rather the lack of cleanliness, how disgusting Rome was as a city. And then, but also its advancements, right? Like the advancements it made, the aqueducts and stuff, the roads, things like that were absolutely far and away. Like if you gave the Romans a couple, like if they hadn't collapsed and you gave them a handful more years, they're probably discovering like trains or some shit, right? Like they were not far away from discovering like steam power and stuff. So the Romans, the advancement, they were the first to hit 100 million people, or sorry, 100 million, 1 million, first to hit 1 million. And they were the last to hit 1 million until 1600. 1600. Rome had 1 million people, and we wouldn't get another city with 1 million for 1,600 years. Like absolutely crazy. Like 1,400. Crazy, just crazy. Rome had 1 million, and then London had 1 million in the 1600s. Crazy. So just how big it was. Next was Baghdad, and this was all about food, spices, and location, because Baghdad is so central. So it became a trading hub, right? Europe, Asia, even Africa are coming into Baghdad. So yeah, food was a huge one though in the Baghdad chapter. Talking about, I mean, one thing this book does is it would talk about Baghdad and its food, but then it would also talk about LA and modern day like food truck culture in LA, right? Stuff like that. So it would compare to the modern day, or even just later in time. It would bring up a topic. Like that's what I want you to understand about this book is the Alexandria and Athens chapter is about information, and it would draw from all these times and places about information, but it starts with Athens and Alexandria. Like that's where it starts. So so the Baghdad chapter started a conversation on food, but there's plenty of other ones. Next was Lubeck. Now, when I bought this book and I looked at the list of cities, I was ecstatic to see that Lubeck was one of the cities. I went to Europe this summer, and one place that we stopped at was Lubeck, and I'd never heard of the city in my life. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Lubeck, Hamburg. And we were there for like 2 days, and they were the chill days. Like we didn't have any assignments because it was for a field school, so we didn't have any assignments. So we just walked around the city, and it's just beautiful. Walking around Lubeck at night, summer nights, like just beautiful. And to find out that it has this crazy Hanseatic League history to it was so cool. So Lubeck was one of the most important trading cities in Europe through the Hanseatic League. And again, this is more about location, right? And this is the first chapter that's really about trade. Baghdad's about land trade, but Lubeck's about sea trade, which is obviously so important. To this day, sea trade's important. Next was Lisbon. Now, Lisbon was fun. I really liked the Lisbon chapter, and I might even reread it one day because it was all about trade empires. We talked about trade in the Lubeck chapter, and now Lisbon's about trade empires, the colonial beginnings of the world. And Lisbon was the center of the world for this, right? The western point of Europe that wasn't really notable for much. Maybe it was a halfway point between the Baltic Sea and the deep Mediterranean Sea, right? Like it's the halfway point there. But it's just on this coast of this endless ocean. No more. Now you're going around the Cape of Good Hope, and Portugal was the setting off point of the world for Europe. And it became a colonial empire, riches beyond belief. When Charles V, that guy, Holy Roman Empire, he was the Holy Roman Emperor and the King of Spain, so he controlled so much of the world, right? Even the New World. And Charles V, he said, I would be the one thing I don't have, or like I have everything, but I'd have even more if I was the King of Lisbon, not King of Portugal, which his son would actually become King of Portugal in the next few generations before Portugal became independent. But Charles V said the King of Lisbon. If I was the King of Lisbon, I'd be the most powerful man ever, because that's how great Lisbon was. Next was London, and this was in the 1600s. So I didn't really say the years there, but Rome was like 300, Baghdad probably 800, Lubeck 1200, Lisbon 1500, and now London in the 1600s. This chapter, all about coffee, surprisingly. Coffee and social places. It starts with coffee, but then it goes broader to clubs, bars, pubs, all that, and then theaters. These new locations that began in the 1600s, theaters, more high-end bars and stuff, and then coffee stores. All of this was social. Like this is the social city, and this is like, I don't know, maybe the peak of like people talking in cities was 1600. Because everyone's drinking coffee, getting high on coffee, talking a lot. I don't know. It's just information verbally was crazy around then. Then we get Manchester and Chicago. Maybe London was like 1700s, because then we got Manchester and Chicago in the 1800s. Victorian era, Manchester and Chicago. Maybe a little bit earlier than Victorian era, just slightly. But industrial era, for sure. We get suburbs beginning, slums, violence. A lot of this stuff happens Manchester and Chicago during this time. It's just peak industrial era. One thing I've noticed, people talking about like new technology, AI and stuff. They're like, oh, like the machine is going to take our job, right? Guess what they were saying 200 years ago? History repeats itself, bruh. Guess what they were saying 200 years ago when there was a machine that could now do your factory job? You used to just do this all day, moving one thing to another. You are part of a machine all day, no music. You just clock in all day, do this over and over and over again. They have turned humans into machines, and then they make a machine to take your job, right? They're making machines to take people's jobs. The term Luddite, that is someone who hates technology, and the Luddite I don't know if it was a revolution. It was like a bit of a revolution in England. They would go around like smashing machines, right? Which they made illegal, obviously. It's breaking people's property. But yeah, like history repeats itself. That's all. That's something I've learned a little bit. Uh, and then the last thing in Manchester and Chicago was organized sport began. Like that, it took factories and factory systems for organized sport to develop. Next was Paris, and this is the first one that he labels as the modern city. Um, Tons of painted versions, like tons of people painted Paris during this time because painting was coming a long way, and so we have so many images from this time period. Very industrial, and then like in the middle, and then slums at the periphery. Versus Manchester, back in Manchester, they would have the factories and the slums in the center of the town. Now Paris has the fancy stuff, the nice stuff in the center of town, and then the factories are in the suburbs and the slums. Uh, Also very walkable from Paris, which you'd think wouldn't all cities be walkable because it was the only you had to walk. No, I'm just kidding. Then we get to New York in the 1930s, and that is obviously all about skyscrapers. It's pretty common now to see buildings that are 10 stories tall. Like any of us who live in cities, like walking past a 10-story tall building, you're not even going to look up at it. That was the peak of building for a very long time, and then suddenly New York was building these 30, 40 foot or 40 level buildings. So skyscrapers, great, and the history of skyscrapers in New York is really cool there. Then we get into World War II, and a really interesting topic: the destruction of cities that get completely destroyed, leveled. It's not something that's happened too often in world history, but all over world history, you do find them scattered, right? Cities that just got absolutely obliterated. Obviously, it's got to be in a war. Maybe a like a natural disaster could wipe out a city, but that's even more rare. But wars, yeah, they can level cities. So there's examples all over, and it was chosen in this book to do Warsaw in World War II. The capture of Warsaw, the air raids, the bombs going off. It also mentions the nukes at the end, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So a really interesting, just going into what happens, what it's like when a city gets leveled. Like what happens to a population that suddenly has nowhere to live, like that kind of stuff. Next was Los Angeles in the 1950s and 60s. So this is kind of the American dream, suburbia, and sprawl. The first talk of sprawl, and then it kind of goes into the gangs and the music, which I found very interesting. Also, food trucks mentions that again, and then that's kind of like the present day one, the Los Angeles one. Well, I mean that one's more like early. No, this is the present day one for sure. Lagos, Nigeria. I actually did a project on Lagos about a year ago in one of my last university courses. I'm graduating now, repping the top. But Lagos goes into congestion, the animals inside of it living with humans, all the food and stuff. How it's like the funnest city in the world. Like that's what when people are asked why do you live here in Lagos, where there's so many people, it's much more like it's undeveloped compared to all the European cities, and it's got such a bigger population, and people say it's the funnest city in the world. Like Lagos is the funniest city. There's always stuff going on. And it's like, yeah, I guess so. If there's like this much like people get congested on the highway, and then they just like like people sell stuff on the highway because there's so much congestion. You'll move forward, a few parking spots an hour, right? Like it's just awful. And that's it. That was the last one. Is Lagos. So first of all, I have to say, Metropolis. Like I love cities and I love history, and this book was just the the connection of both. I want to be an urban planner, so there's a lot of urban planning stuff in this book, and yeah, the list of cities, like the cities hit fantastic. Like I loved. Uruk was great. Babylon, Athens, Alexandria, Rome, Baghdad. Lubeck was awesome. Lisbon, awesome. I liked how he did London, but he didn't do industrial era London. He did like almost like Elizabethan London, and then Manchester, Chicago for industrialism, showing kind of both sides of the pond. Paris, again, kind of a later time than I like Paris in the 1800s, is good, and then skyscrapers for New York, Warsaw for a city getting destroyed, and then Los Angeles and Lagos. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other cities I would have liked to see in there. Maybe Tokyo, Japan, Japan, Tokyo probably, and then Venice. I think Venice, because Venice is just the most unique city in the world. Like, seriously, like, is there any city that's more unique than Venice? I don't think so. So I would have loved to see Venice in maybe the 1500s. Maybe it could have gone Lisbon, Venice, London. But yeah, fantastic book. Really enjoyed it. That is Metropolis by Ben Wilson. And now for part 3 of periods in European history that I find interesting. This time, we've got the end of the Capetian dynasty and the beginning of the House of Valois. Basically, the very like right there, very top, because then it's the 100 Years' War. I do have notes, because I do not remember all 6 plots, and you might notice I say 6. Why did he say that? Aren't there 7 books? If I was to Google the Accursed King series, and I would get that picture of all the covers, and it says, this was the original Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin on the top of all of them. If I was to Google that right now, I would see 7 books, Salty B. What sort of history are you teaching me? Sorry, am I blinding you right now? Well, I'll explain what I mean by there being 6 books, but yes, there are 6, and then there's a bonus 1. So I'll explain that. So the Accursed King series, written by Maurice Drouin, a book series about the end of the line of Capet and the beginning of the 100 Years of War, recommended to me by my boy KG Keegan. Shout out. And yeah, I love it. It's a great series. Is it the original Game of Thrones? I guess it is. They put it on all the books. It starts with the Iron King, where Philip the Fair is the king of France. He has had how many? Sorry, we got to crank it all the way there. There he is. There's Philip the Fair, and there are his 3 sons. And you can see Philip the Fair comes from a line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 consecutive father-son successions. 11. That's a lot. That's a lot of years. That is not that many kings in a couple of centuries. And so, in 1314, Philip is king, and it's all going well. And then he burns the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were an organization of knights who were kind of like the religious knights, right? They had crosses on their shield and stuff. And they were they almost became like a business. They went from crusading to kind of being like an organization. And the king had got a lot of loans out from the Knights Templar. And he ended up putting them in prison one night. Like, he just mass exodus. Everyone go get the Knights Templar and bring them to me. And they get thrown in prison. And they age to like old men in prison. And then finally he releases them he doesn't release them, he executes them. And while he's executing Jacques de Molay, the big one, the main Templar, while Jacques de Molay is being executed, he curses Philip. He says, "I curse your line and everyone that comes after you." So the accursed kings, these are the kings that get cursed. Philip the Fair, after this happens, he's prophesied by the knights. Like, he says, you won't live out the year. Like, you'll die within the year. And he does. Spoilers. And before he dies, though, the Tower of Nell happens. This is where the wives of both, I think it's his eldest. So he's got 3 sons: Louis, Philip, and Charles. I'm putting up everything right here, but I just thought I'd kind of have it for myself. Louis, Philip, and Charles, all 3 of them, all 3 of their wives are caught cheating. The oldest and youngest one are caught in the Tower of Nell, which is why it's known as like the Tower of Nell conspiracy. So Louis and Charles, their wives go to prison, and then Philip's wife, she gets off. Like she manages to get away from it, and I think she goes to jail initially, but she doesn't get executed, and then eventually he like frees her, and it's all good. But yeah, all three of them go to jail, and so now, if any, none of his sons have sons yet. None of Philip the Fair's sons have sons, so they got to get remarried, and they can't because like their wives are in prison, so it's tough. Then Philip goes hunting and dies, and now Louis, the Hutin, is in prison. Two more things I should mention. There's two characters that span the entire series, and one of them I don't even think is real, but all of this, obviously, this is historical fiction. This all happened, but Maurice Durand is writing it to be a little more fantastical than maybe it was, and whatever. There are two characters, though, that I need to mention that span the entire series, and whether or not everything they did is really happened is obviously maybe not true, but they span the entire series, and they're very important. The first is Robert d'Artois. Robert d'Artois is this huge, like, angry, bolsterous, like alpha male type of guy who had his inheritance stolen from him by Mau. And Mau, she and Robert, they go at each other the entire series. Like, they really do. And so everything Robert does is trying to get his inheritance back from Mau. And he's the one who makes them get caught in the Tower of Nell. He catches Mau's two daughters, who are the youngest and oldest, the wives of the youngest and oldest, Louis and Charles. Mau's daughters, the Duchesses of Burgundy. Robert catches them. So Robert, he's always up to shit. And then the other guy is Guccio Baglioni, the goat. Guccio is just a Lombard banker he's the nephew of like the most important Lombard banker in Paris. So he's not nobody, but in every book, he finds himself in different places. So in this book, he goes and gives a letter to the Queen of England, Isabel of France, who's French. So he's finding himself all over, and his destiny is really important to the fate of the line of Capet. In the first book, he meets Mary de Cressay. He goes to take debts from this one family because he's a banker, goes to collect debts. And this family, the husband has died, so it's just the wife, two grown-up sons, and I think she's like 20 probably. I think Gucci was like 19 and she's 20, I think. And her name's Mary de Cressay. She's the daughter, and he falls in love with her, and they start a thing, But he's like a Lombard banker, and she's like, even though they're broke, she's still like the daughter of a lord or like a noble, right? So that's the Iron King. It ends with Philip the Fair dying in a hunting accident, and now Louis the Hutin is king. Hutin is French for quarrel, like troublesome, or like quarreler. That's what he's known as in English, is Louis the Quarreler, because he's just like, he's difficult, right? Louis the Difficult. And he's kind of just like whiny, and like, he's super annoying. And so this book starts with Louis's wife, Marguerite, I think is her name. So Louis's wife, Marguerite, and she is in prison. And it starts with Robert d'Artois visiting her and telling her that Louis wants a divorce. Like, Louis wants her to write a thing saying she wants a divorce because he can't divorce her. Like, she can write something saying like, oh, we never consummated the marriage or something, right? But she refuses. She wants to be Queen of France, even though she's locked up. She could go free and not be Queen of France, but she wants to be Queen of France. This book is called The Strangled Queen because it ends with Robert getting one of his henchmen to strangle the Queen. So it starts with him offering it, doesn't go her way, ends with the Queen getting strangled. Other things that happen in this book is Louis, I wrote in my notes, Louis orders new wife from Naples. Clemence of Hungary. She is in Naples because it's her grandmother is the Queen of Naples. So she's in Naples, even though she's Clemence of Hungary. And she is going to be Louis' new wife. So she gets the news, and Guccio is the one that gives her the news. At the end of this book, Mau poisons Louis, and he dies because Mau wants her Her. Oh wait, no, sorry. Mau's Philip is Mau's son-in-law, not the other two. So one of the duchesses of Burgundy. I think all three of them maybe, but Philip is Mau's son-in-law, and she wants him on the throne. So she poisons Louis, and then Philip becomes regent. Why regent? He doesn't have any sons. Clemence of Hungary is pregnant. This is the third book, The Poisoned Crown. Clemence of Hungary is pregnant, and they don't know if it's a boy or girl when Louis dies. So now they need a regent for like 5 more months until the baby is born. That's the third one, the Poisoned Crown. Guccio marries Marie de Cressy, and other than the marriage and then Louis dying, like that's kind of the Poisoned Crown. This whole time, Robert d'Artois is doing crazy shit, and yeah. The Royal Succession is book 4. Philip is still regent. He became regent right at the end of the last one, but he's making all the moves that he's going to become king afterwards. There is a pope election. Another reason why Louis couldn't get a divorce and needed his strangled wife to write the note is because there was no pope. This entire time there's no pope because they were having the longest conclave in history. So a new pope is elected, and guess who's there during the conclave? Guccio Baglioni. He finds himself inside the conclave and helps Jacques Dueze, the eventual pope. Meanwhile, Philip is making all the moves to become king. He's battling with his uncle, Charles de Valois. So I'll put I think probably I'll put the thing back up, the family tree. Charles de Valois is the brother of Philip the Fair, and he never got to be king, obviously. And now he's seeing all these sons become king, and he doesn't get to be king. So he wanted to be regent, but Philip gets rid of that, and he becomes regent. Then, and this is the craziest part of the book, okay? And this is what like the whole series was building to in this fourth one, and then from here it goes on. But like this, to me, this is the peak. Let me explain this. So, Guccio and his wife, Mary de Cressy, have a baby. No one thinks it was born in wedlock, but it was. It was born in wedlock. They got a secret marriage, but everyone thinks he's a bastard, but he's not. And she is in Paris breastfeeding him at a church because her family sends her away to a convent. And so she is, living with this baby in a convent, and Guccio can't see her, can't find her. Then Clemence of Hungary has the baby. It's a boy. We have a new king of France, John, new king of France. He's just been born. He was king of France from the moment that the doctor saw what's between his legs. But Clemence is really weak and is having trouble nursing him. And also, she wouldn't even really nurse him. Like at this time, she would have maids. They can't find any maids, so they go down to a local convent to find a breastfeeding mother. Mary de Cressy gets taken with her baby to the castle. She is not happy about it, by the way. She goes up, meets Clemence of Hungary, and then suckles the king of France, Jean I. Mary de Cressy. So now her son, her and Guccio's son, Gioni, I think his name is. Something like that. Gio, I think they call him. I think they call him Gio. That's what's short for it. So Gio. So her baby boy Gio and the king of France are now milk brothers, which is hilarious. And then they need to present Jean I to the nobility, to the family, because they want to be like, here he is. Here's the king. But they are scared because Jean I he doesn't look good. They don't know if he's going to survive or not. The other baby is looking great. It's a few days older, but fucking Gio, he looks strong as fuck. Like Gio looks great. So sad, dude. They take Gio and they show him to the nobility, to the family, and fucking Mau who wants Philip to be king, not this new baby. Even though Philip will be king, will be regent for fucking 18 years, 14 years, something like that. He'll be regent for a long time, but no, we want Philip to be king. Mao poisons the baby with a little napkin, and he dies in her arms. Like, it's the most obvious killing ever. And she's just like, oh my god, what? And then hands it back. He dies. He dies. So Gio dies. The Guccio Baglioni and Mary de Cresse's baby. But everyone thinks that Jean the First of Capet, they think he is dead. So absolutely distraught. You can only imagine Mary de Cressy. She gets given the King of France to, like, yep, go take him home, Jean the First and all that. Take him home, like, he's yours now, and you must not tell anybody. And then that's what it is. She goes home, and that's like, and my jaw was on the floor reading that for the first time. Like, are you serious? They switched the babies, and the King of France, the last Capet, goes and becomes a merchant's son, because once he's like 8 years old or something, Guccio finds him and then takes him back, so that he lives with his father, Guccio. But crazy. Like, I was like, that was peak. That was peak. Seriously. What a great book. And that's the end of book 4. The last 2 are both good, but like, that was the peak of the series to me, was the baby swap. Book 4 is The She-Wolf of France, and this is all about England, actually. So in England, Roger Mortimer betrayed Edward II, and so Edward puts him in the Tower of London, and then he becomes the first person to escape from the Tower of London. He flees to France. Him and Isabel. So, sorry. Then he is in the French court, and they're sending letters back and forth, and England's like, you got to give us back our guy, and France is like, no. And then Isabel, Edward II's wife, goes to France because she's French, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna smooth talk everybody. She hates her husband. She hates Edward. He doesn't like her at all. He's gay. He just sleeps with guys all the time, and she's just like, she feels awful. Like, she hates her marriage. So she flees to France and then, like, basically revs up a war against him. She ends up getting with Mortimer, like, openly, like, they're together. And then England end up deposing Edward II for the son, Edward III. And then the final scene of this book is the infamous legend that Edward II was killed by a hot rod going up his ass, because they had to kill him and have no marks. So they're like, oh, we'll shove a hot iron up his ass, because then he'll die, but there won't be any marks, and it'll clot the wound and everything. So that's like a legend, and it's so cool. It's so cool. Like, those moments are awesome reading this, because it's like, there's moments where what we know to be real history, or even just like kind of fantastical stuff, to see it written as if it really happened, and it's like a full scene in a book. It's pretty cool. Other thing that goes on in this one is Bouville, who is the one guy who knew about Mary de Cressy and the baby swap. He tells the Pope, Jacques Dueze, he tells the Pope that the real king is living on a farm in Cressy. He tells him that. Finally, the sixth book and the last one is The Lily and the Lion. The Lily obviously being France, the Lion being England. This book starts... sorry, wait, I think I missed one thing. Yeah, okay. Sorry. The fourth book, The Royal Succession, begins with Philip being king. Obviously, the baby dies, and now Philip is king outright. He's not just regent. The fifth book starts, and Charles, his younger brother, and the last of Philip the Fair's sons, the third one, he has been king for like a little while now. So we skip the entire Philip reign and then the beginning of Charles's reign. So now, in the beginning of The Lily and the Lion, Charles dies. The last book in the series, finally, a Valois is on the throne. Charles of Valois died 4 years previously, so it is Philip of Valois, his son, that now reigns. And this whole book is basically about the start of the 100 Years' War. because this is what started the 100 Years' War. Edward III of England thinks that he should be king of France through his mom, Elizabeth, who's the sister of all the last kings. And then Philip of Valois is I guess would be the nephew of Philip the Fair, right? Through a male line, through his brother. The last notable thing and the last part of the series, because all these books came out basically 1 year after the other in the late 1950s, early 1960s. These books basically came out 6 books in maybe like 8 years. This book ends with a prologue, or epilogue, sorry, an epilogue of Gio Baglioni, who's like 40 years old, has a family, living on a farm in Italy somewhere, and he gets told by a cardinal that he is the rightful king of France. And then that starts of a chain reaction of him like trying to build support to be king of France, and then he ends up dying in a prison in Naples. He dies in a prison in Naples. And it's so sad because it's like, damn, he was living his life and was just like a normal guy working a 9 to 5 with a family, and then someone told him, yeah, you're actually the rightful king of France. And then he like for a year goes on a campaign to try and become king of France and obviously loses. And then that's it. Then he's just, so it's crazy. It's crazy. So sad. There is one more book in this series. It was written 17 years after the last one. So some real George R. R. Martin shit, except this one is a complete tack on. It is from a singular point of view. It's from the point of view of Cardinal Talleyrand Perigot. And he's just a cardinal who is traveling across like France and like a little bit of Italy and stuff. And he's traveling this whole way, and he's in a litter, right? Like a car back in the day, carried by horses and stuff. He's in a litter, and he is recounting to his son the entire reign of Jean II, who was Philip of Valois' son. So only just one king later, right? So in these, how many? It'd be 7 books. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, in 7 books you see 7 kings. So Jean II of Valois, he's imprisoned during the 100 Years' War, and this book is basically a cardinal in a litter. It's only from his voice. There's nothing other than his dialogue. The whole story is his dialogue, and he is telling his nephew the story of how Jean II got put in prison, and basically the story of the 100 Years' War to this point. And so it's from a completely different point of view. It's a real like weird one, right? Because it's like just dialogue, and you only hear one person's dialogue. That's what the whole book is. So it's a complete side story. If you're reading the Accursed King series, just read the first 6, and if you like really want the lore of the next reign, then read the next one. But it's way different. It's like Fire and Blood is to the rest of the A Song of Ice and Fire series, right? Except that one is a history book. This one's just dialogue of one cardinal. Still good though, and it's not that long. I don't know, it's fine. That is the Accursed King series. So I hope that was a good review of the whole thing. I would recommend it. The books are really, really short. I would say each book only has about like 14 scenes, like one scene with characters in a room, that time. I would say each book only has like 14 scenes, because the scenes are pretty long, right? Like just he doesn't really have little scenes between. It's always like a big scene with 2 people. So I don't know. I think I would say each one only has like 15 scenes, 15 chapters. Really good. Really, really enjoy it. Is it the original Game of Thrones? Yeah, I guess it feels like that. And yeah, I don't know. I saw an interview because I was looking up a little bit about Maurice Durand. And I saw an interview, and the interviewer is like, "Why did you write about this period in French history?" And Maurice is like, "What the fuck?" Like, I don't know. Have you seen it? Have you read it? Why talk about this part in French history? Bro, look at the family tree. Like, you can see where it goes crazy. It's like, oh yeah, 11 consecutive father-son successions, and then whoa, like what the fuck is that? So obviously right about this period in French history. Yeah, really enjoyed that series. I'd highly recommend it. I read these. I listened to all of them on YouTube. So here, if you look up Maurice Drouin on YouTube, the first things are, I won't like link them or anything, but because I don't want to draw attention to them. But yeah, there are. Let me see. Yeah, they're still here. So it's from this one YouTube channel, and there is Maurice Drouin 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, or 5A, 5B, 6, and 7, and all of them are just the full audible books. The only thing is, the first one got taken down. It used to be here, and I listened to it, but it must have gotten found. But yeah, you can listen to these for free on YouTube. That's what I did, and it looks like now you have to buy the first one. If you buy the first one and like it, then try the free ones. But I don't know where that other one went. Thanks for watching, everybody. That was History with Salty B, episode 3. Really enjoyed this one. Good haul. Showing off the I get it backwards every time. The civilization stuff. I really need a bookshelf. That's one thing I was hoping to get for Christmas. Who the fuck would get me a bookshelf for Christmas? That's something I gotta buy. But I was thinking about getting a bookshelf back here and putting this stuff here. But that is that's History with Salty B, episode 4. On the next episode, yeah, maybe I'll talk about Gibbon a little bit. The history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. I'm 1/6 of the way through, so maybe I'll get like 2, maybe 3/6. Maybe I'll get halfway through it. That is like so many hours though. So we'll see. And maybe a collection video as well is coming up. And I'm really sad I didn't get that one Habsburg book, like I said. So I'm going to look and see if I can find it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. That's History with Salty B, episode 4. I won't, sometimes I know what I'm going to do in the episode. Other times I'm not. So I won't say what I'll do in the next episode. But I'm reading some books, and I'll tell you about them when I read them. So yeah, here's to next time. And new Salvy Gets High and Tryhard's Wii Golf coming up. That's, if we're talking about just Salvy videos, I need redemption. But otherwise, then I'll see you guys in the 5th episode of History with Salty B. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike. Hey, what's up? Goodbye.